It is rare that you will ever see something so massive that it even comes close to the sheer arrogance of a flat earther. Yet there is one who leads them all. Many times it has been shown, I guess, how ignorant flirts are, especially Sleeping Warrior. And, you know, obviously we know they're very arrogant as well. But I believe it is now the height of arrogance when I looked at Sleeping Warrior's, you know, current channel. And I find a video titled, Hallelujah, Relative Density Did What Newton/Einstein Failed to Do. Just, I don't know. I mean, you know, ignorance alone, you know, when someone's claiming that they're doing proper science and claiming that real science is in fact pseudoscience, yeah, just anyone that knows what they're talking about, which is pretty much everyone that's not a flat earther, really, it tends to get a little bit offended by stuff like that. And you know, obviously the arrogance offends as well. But when someone's putting himself above true geniuses, yeah, just, it really just gets my goat, you know? So I wanted to try and understand perhaps why. And I've come to the conclusion, basically, you know, obviously we are limited by the sort of technology, the scientific understanding of our time, you know. Obviously we know way more than people in past ages knew, because they just weren't equipped to, you know. They didn't have, like ancients, as Mr. Dubay loves to point out, that the ancients called planets wandering stars. That's because they didn't have telescopes. They couldn't actually look and see the detail on them, observe them in their own orbits, and, you know, see them turn, work out that they are also spherical, etc. So I think this also applies to the Dunning-Kruger effect. I don't think that they quite understood the magnitude that it could get to, because, you know, they were limited by the knowledge of their time. So I would, you know, before having a look at Riley's video, I would like to revisit, if you will, the whole Dunning-Kruger premise. Okay, so this is the standard Dunning-Kruger table. You're basically comparing someone's confidence with what they know to their wisdom of actually what they know, which is, again, you know, wisdom is knowledge and experience. So you start off, you know, low and know nothing. You have no confidence and you know nothing. So why would you be confident about it? Very simple. Now, here you sort of go to up to the peak of Mount Stupid, which is, you know, people that have, I don't know, heard of a few things, or done a bit of reading, maybe watched a YouTube video, and suddenly believe that they are experts. Take the anti-mask Karens that walk around, you know, all these videos on YouTube where they walk around into shops and whatnot, wearing no mask, claiming that they know the law, even better than the police do at times. Yes, that is basically because they reside at the peak of Mount Stupid. Then you move down to the Valley of Despair, where you're starting to learn a little bit more. You're no longer confident because you've learnt more, and you've begun to realise your lack of understanding in, you know, that subject. So your confidence has declined. Then you begin to learn more, and you start going up the slope of enlightenment as you learn more and actually gain a fundamental understanding of it by learning it properly from the proper sources. Your confidence will also increase. Then you hit the plateau of sustainability, which basically you are an expert in what you have studied and you're very confident in that field. But you're also modest enough to admit that you're not an expert in things that you do not know about. So let's extend the table a little. So here we have the pinnacle of for fluff's sake point. This is where most flat earthers reside. They believe they have a better understanding of the world than most people, including the experts, and believe that they have, well, seen a truth that's out there that no one else knows about. I mean, of course, the rational world understands that they are just seriously deluded. And then we come to the final level, which is Sleeping Summit. No one quite knows just how far up the confidence scale this goes, but it is believed that if it dropped from the height that it resides at, it would cause a catastrophic event. So, why don't we take a look at the video that's brought us all here.
This video would not be possible without the contributions from Eric Dubay. I haven't watched a Dubay video for ages.
For fuck's sake. You haven't watched a Dubay video in ages. That's possibly the first step for people that have, been sucked into this deluded state by his videos to escaping. And then you just decide to jump back in. In fact, you dive head first back in. I'm not even angry at this point. I'm just very disappointed.
And I've not even seen much of him about on the circuit recently. But massive shout outs to Dubay. I would ask for permission to mirror this, Dubay, but I don't have any direct line of communication with you to ask, and it'll get lost in a sea of thousands, I'm sure. So I'm going to beg for forgiveness rather than ask for permission, because you won't even see the permission request. This video is to demonstrate relative density disequilibrium causing acceleration. And it's a challenge to anybody on our side, on my side, that denies or rejects this, to debunk the egg test that I did recently, or accept it and let's move forward.
So, why don't you put the challenge out there to people on your side of the fence? Is it because, you kind of seem to be sort of a protege of Oakley? Do you too realise that we live on a globe and are just trying to con people? Or is it just because you don't want to hear from our side because, you know that we're going to prove you wrong, as we do? For that very reason, I'm going to chime in my couple of cents, 2 cents on it. So, firstly, your experiment doesn't prove anything. I mean, you keep flip-flopping between you were the cause and then the change in density was the cause. The dependent variable and independent variables you've got pretty much right, but you ignore the controlled variable or constant. Sorry, because there's a few. And gravity is the main one. That is what caused the denser medium to be pulled down more underneath the egg. That's how buoyancy is made. We can calculate stuff like this because we've tested it multiple times. We've got the equations. This is how we know what the gravitational acceleration is, because we've worked it all out. Then there's, like all the just glaring problems that caused your test to be invalid. Then there is also the lack of further experimentation to try and prove or disprove your hypothesis. There are definitely many different ways you'd want to try and run that test to try and prove what you were trying to prove. And then one of the biggest standouts is the parts per million counter. If you're doing a density experiment, you want to calculate density, which is, the mass divided by the volume. Not use a parts per million counter, which all that does is that counts the level of contaminant particles in, whatever medium you're testing, or solution you're testing. I even, thanks to the help from Kevin, he recorded, you know, some footage for me to use, and I did in a previous video, just showing how, you know, how the experiment fails when there is an even bigger difference in you know, parts per million. And you know what, that video that he did actually included something else that you didn't do, which was to show, you know, like temperatures of the water. You know, there are a myriad of things that you need to be recording to do a proper experiment. Okay, you want it to, if you want it to be valid, and again, you know, you can't prove your theory because we've already disproved it by proving gravity multiple times. But you could at least try and work towards a valid experiment. And yeah, you just haven't. It's quite disappointing. You continue to try and push this same video. What am I doing with my life, guys? I think I'm going to have to step away from Flat Earth soon, because it's just, oh, it's so redundant now, you know? But anyway, let's have a little bit more of a look at this complete train wreck of a video anyway, and yeah.
Because you can deny and ignore it as much as you want. It doesn't change the fact that changing the density of the medium did cause an acceleration.
Yes, it caused there to be, well, particles of salt in the water, you know, once it mixes up anyway, but it basically, it caused the water to become more dense. And, you know, as fluids, obviously, well, you know, it's made up of all these little particles that are being pulled down on by gravity. Nothing's changed with the egg. So you have just changed the medium. But that's not, I mean, all right, it is cause in the fact that you changed that and it caused something to happen. Okay? That's how the cause and effect works, right? It's not the only cause if you're looking at it from the way you're trying to use cause, because the actual overall cause is the gravitational constant. One of the things that is a controlled variable that you cannot change in that experiment is pulling on the denser medium, and it is pulling it down more of it underneath the egg. So the egg's higher, you know, it gets lifted up as you add the salt.
Either support it, or you're stifling progression. It's that simple. You know who you are. If you don't support it, you're the problem.
I'm guessing when he says you know who you are, he's talking about Bob, because he's ever so subtly putting a picture of him in the video. If he's not talking about Bob, I don't know, I couldn't guess. But, you know, everyone knows that Bob's slowly coming round to the whole point of gravity. And, you know, he's already proven Earth's rotation.
When we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift. A 15-degree-per-hour drift.
Thanks, Bob. If you don't come round to the idea you're part of the problem. No. Riley, your lack of education is part of the problem. You know, you think that you're somehow understanding science better than every single scientist on the planet, as well as like some of the greatest minds from history. You arrogant little prick. You know, just go to school, right? I tell you what, take your first year. You know, if you want to do it part-time, like take a couple of years of physics. Like, you know, proper college-level physics. And see if you're somehow still a flat earther after. Because, you know, after that, if you're still a flat earther, then yeah, there's no helping you, you know, because by that point, you should definitely have been taught actual science, you know, how scientific method works, how how calculations are real science? Because it was the experiments that, you know, that gave us those calculations. It didn't start at calculations and go from there. We use calculations because we did experiments. We took that data, made equations out of it, tested those over and over again in many, many different ways, and changing all the variables. And this is how we were able to establish that, the equations were bang on. And now we don't have to do the experiment and the observation on most of that stuff now. Well, any of it, if we've got the calculations. We still will look into stuff, we'll revisit things and try to advance scientific knowledge. But, if we want to quickly work something out, we don't have to do a massive experiment to see, like what's going to happen, because we have the calculation, we have the knowledge to work it out, and this is where you just, another way that you show you have no understanding whatsoever. As Jesse 102 said in a last sort of video rebuttal to you, there are many different types of scientific evidence. And the fact that you, not only don't know that, but either couldn't find it on the link that she shared with you that took you right to the page, or what I imagine is the case, you just failed to look because you don't think anyone is smart enough to teach you. And that's your problem, okay? It doesn't matter how smart anyone gets. You know why people like Newton and Einstein were so good? It's because they never thought that they were at the top. They kept trying to progress. They kept trying to advance scientific understanding. And you somehow think you've got there without doing any of the work. So yeah, we'll have a bit more of a look, but I don't know, getting a bit fed up of him. So let's go through this video quickly.
If you don't support it, the onus is on you to debunk it. So debunk it or support it, but stop backpedaling and being a dismissive little shit. Because we can all move forward once this gets sorted, because their model dies with this one argument. There are several arguments that kill it, but this one argument removes everything. It removes Einstein's general relativity. It removes everything. Their whole model collapses.
Alright, I've said it before, and I will say it again. You guys have not proved flat Earth because you don't understand science, or you managed to put together a scientific experiment and then you misinterpret the results, because you guys don't factor for everything like you're supposed to do with an experiment, just like yours, for example. But I know you feel like you're part of something, Anthony, and I know it would probably mean so much for your ego to be the one that destroyed gravity and all that stuff. But the onus, the responsibility isn't on anyone to disprove your hypothesis, because you haven't proven it, But, I have explained to you in 2 different videos how you're wrong, and many other people have done, did that before me. But you choose not to listen, which is the Flurf way, and this is why there's flat earthers. Because you don't listen to anyone because you believe you know better. So I don't know. I'm going to skip through the video. We're going to find some juicy bits, and then yeah.
Support it or debunk it, but stop stifling it, for fuck's sake.
The 10 things that all flat earthers say. Number 1, one extremely problematic side effect of taking the globe and flattening it out into a plane is that gravity makes no sense, and there is no reason for things to fall to the ground.
Quite simply, objects fall or rise based on their relative density to the medium surrounding them.
Quite simply, no they don't. they fall because of gravity. They go up when they are lighter than the medium around them, basically. You know, air is a fluid, and if in the example of a helium balloon, helium is lighter than, you know, the regular air in the atmosphere. So gravity is pulling the air down. Oh God, it's ridiculous. But you know, I'll show it again because it's a great clip, and you know, it really does show the problem with your arguments. So this is how things behave in microgravity. Basically, we're taking the gravity down to just, you know, almost zero. And strangely enough, stuff doesn't fall. Relative density disequilibrium, dead. Right there. So basically, microgravity is close to zero, complete zero gravity as we can get on here on Earth. You know, even the ISS is also at microgravity because it is that constant fall around the Earth that is, you know, that does it. But as you can see in that video, you take gravity away or reduce it to a level where it really doesn't have, you know, next to no effect whatsoever. And suddenly things aren't falling down anymore. Relative density disequilibrium disproved. Find something else, or just admit that, you know, the Earth's a fucking globe. So, yeah, everything else is just... He just plays a load of Dubai's stuff, basically. And then, you know, just about how it's density and buoyancy, not gravity, which, again, has been debunked so many times. He does do a speed run through of, I think it was Professor Dave. I didn't slow it down to double check the voice. But, again, you know, this has all been, you know, the whole... relative density disequilibrium has been debunked. Gravity's been proven. I would like to just quickly show this here, though, because once again we can see how, I don't know, no flurf seems to understand what entropy is. You know, it's either that all gases should fill an available container, or it's, you know, in this case, it's put it as density to equilibrium. Entropy is the measure of wasted thermal energy. It's you know, molecules that are, or energy that is no longer available for work. It can also be used to, you know, when talking about systems like inevitable journey into disorder, basically. But yeah, it just, you know, but when it comes to the flirts, like they do not understand it. They hear the word mentioned in an old experiment, or at least, you know, this is with Oakley and Sleeping Warrior, you know, an old experiment, and they hear the word entropy and they think that they've got it sussed. but you know, it's a lack of understanding. I really don't know what else to say about it. I'll give up. Yeah, you know, there's nothing in this video that proves your point, Sleepy. It's just it's more misunderstanding, and yeah, just showing that you've got no idea what science is. Yeah, I still don't. I just don't understand how you can still be so arrogant as to think that you have taken us further than Newton and Einstein. I will point out, you know, one last time, because flirts don't seem to understand. Yes, Einstein gave us more of an understanding, you know, and did essentially redefine gravity. But because of how big Earth is, all the calculations that we need to make involving gravity on Earth it can all be done using Newton's method, and it is insanely accurate because of the size of Earth. And this is why it can be treated as a force. It's that simple, you know. Yeah, I'm just going to call it a day on this one. If you enjoyed it, please do like, and feel free to leave a comment. I try to reply to all of them. If you're not subscribed yet, please do, and ring the notification bell. They tend to work sometimes, it seems, is what I've seen with YouTube. But you know, hopefully it will let you know when I put a new video up. If you'd like to support the channel financially and help me to make, you know, better content, there are links to Patreon and PayPal in the description, as well as links to my social media, including my Discord server. You know, definitely join that. Stop by for a chat. You know, there's a few of us there now. Aside from that, yeah, I've been LimeyPlay. I will see you guys next time. Take care of each other and stay safe.